Warm up. Oh, see, my nose gets itchy this very moment.
Like you're also touching your nose.
It's crazy. This nose.
Nose.
The nose. The nose.
Guys, it's episode 80.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get water.
AJ, you are first in line. It's a bit dark. Maybe I should raise the light a bit. Now I'm burning.
The contrast is not great.
I mean, the light's a bit better for you.
This is
fine
because you're also, I don't know, because you're closer. Like point it more towards me.
There, that's better.
Okay.
It's a bit more balanced.
Hello, Pico. Oops. Now I gotta do links.
Oh my God. Siyempre, the statement you chose has so much connotations.
No, it doesn't. You're just adding color to it. It's perfectly innocent. You are like a singer. Dun, 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 dun. Wow. Let's flex new phone, Dre.
Well.
Yeah, we just finished watching a few episodes of the new Twilight Zone. And I'm like, okay. It's like
Still so many misses.
the episodes definitely feel more Twilight Zone-y in premise, but then execution and ending could be better.
They don't end as well as we wished they did. Hey, meow. Hear him. Yes, that is Spoiler Shark. Nah. Spoiler Shark originally was meant to be the shark that shows up when we're about to talk about stuff that might be spoilery. But I keep forgetting to do so. So,
To be fair, though, we also very much avoid talking about spoilers. So that which has made our few like movie and TV discussions very bland because we're still avoiding spoilers, even for very old things.
yeah, because we want you to experience it if we recommended it.
So there's no winning really. So you know.
Spider Shark also used to talk, but I forgot how to do his voice.
I haven't, but I'm not going to use the voice.
So now all Spoiler Shark does is the shocked expression or the drag queen expression.
Yeah, I mean, since you have the shark out, spoiler alert, we do not have a solution for today's topic. We've been avoiding discussing this topic for a while. It's actually the very first topic that was ever submitted as a request.
And we've always wondered if we should cover it because we don't have a good answer to it.
Yeah.
But then we realized we could just talk about it and how we are where we are now.
We have our own answer for it, I suppose. It's not a perfect answer, but it's fine.
Pico asks, when will you have your own puppet?
That's Toby. No, it's really more, I prefer to do my own Muppet laughing, which is very classic. It is just, We've been doing that for years in my family. Laugh like a Muppet.
Pack rats. Oh yes, we are. We're very proudly pack ratty.
We're collectors.
My nose is so itchy. Well, we might as well start because it's 9:08.
There's no connection between those two statements. So what happens at 9:08? Why does it become a start time? We tend to start at intervals of 5.
9:05. 9:08. When we started at 9:03.
Terrible.
Well, because it's the 80th episode, so it's 9.
Wow, rationalization. Let's pull it in from left field. See, you're remembering the voice. See? Because he has multiple voices that seem to evolve. I always felt like his original voice was trying to be the shark from Toy Story. Do you remember that shark? Go figure. That's Toby for you. You gonna try to say anything else? Go on. You want to. Get it out. Get it out of your system. Just go.
Camera on. Later na lang.
Hey, nako. First, reminders. Indie Fiesta is still ongoing all week. Be sure to visit the exhibition hall between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. so you get to meet the different independent game developers for both digital and analog games. So it's good stuff. Then
this Friday,
we will have Precious Paula Nicole of the O Divas as a special guest. So it's going to be our lengthy Friday episode, and we're going to be interviewing Precious. If you have questions that you want to ask Precious, feel free to send it in. And then on Saturday, we have what we're calling the pre-anniversary episode, which will be hosted by Nico. So if you have questions for us on Saturday, specific to the relationship and how did we end up 11 years, send them to Nico, because Nico is the one trying to figure out the format for the episode. He's quite pressured, but he really shouldn't be, because there is no one better to handle that episode than Nico.
All right. It's officially 9:10.
This is
11.
This is right.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride. And we're trying to do this without laughing too much. It's our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted, not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. As we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. We are spending the next 30 minutes talking about Geek storage problems, because it is a problem that we suffer from.
Originally, the wording of the question was Geek problem storage, and it makes it sound like there are many problems. But I feel like Geek storage is a problem in itself, and it just sounds like a rearranging of the words. Yeah. But it just made more sense to me.
Without moving the camera, you should notice there's a lot of stuff in the back. There's stuff hidden by the flag.
There's stuff hidden by the flag. And the whole thing is like sitting on a bunch of containers. So wait, we had a definition for this. I'm like, what was our we talked about an intro in the afternoon. Now I can't remember what we wanted to say.
About which specific part?
You had a 3-act structure for this episode.
Oh yeah. So we have to, of course, first talk about how we used to handle storage. Whether or not you could actually store it, whether you could display it, and this and that, followed by the different solutions that we found.
Solutions.
And the solutions that worked for us, the solutions that didn't work for us. And then we can end it with the basic, where do we go from here?
This isn't where we intended to be. No. Hello, Mitch. All right. So, yeah. So, all right. Start us off.
Geek storage problems. Geek storage problems are quite common for geeks because geeks love things. Geeks have fandoms they admire. Geeks have the desire to collect anything and everything about the fandom they love. You're into Lord of the Rings, maybe you've started collecting the postable action figures. Maybe you have the Lego sets inspired by Lord of the Rings.
Why do we have Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit? I will never know.
Are you interested in Battlestar Galactica? Then maybe you splurged on the board games that were inspired by the show that are now out of print.
Or you're still holding back from subscribing to the Eagle Moss Star Galactica Starships collection.
Or maybe you're one of those who spent thousands to get a, show memorabilia, which, other people would stare at and wonder why you spent so much on.
Did not spend thousands. It was a Kickstarter reward. So therefore, I did not buy it. It just happened to come along.
But ultimately,
It's signed by Ron Moore.
all of us geeks will face eventually storage problems because we just can't help but want to get more of the stuff we
We
love.
tend to collect.
Doubly so when you are basically
Two
living
geeks
with
living
another
together.
geek.
With different fandoms, I think it would have been easier if we were the same creature that just have one thing
Mhm.
that we like, and that could have been fine. That could have been board games for us, which it has been. But then that is not the only thing,
Mhm.
and it's a challenge, guys. I mean, just to like quickly list down what do we have? I mean, obviously, I'm a book person,
Mhm.
so I still have a good amount of physical books. I still have a bunch of
3 every time they buy.
not every time. I can
Yeah.
buy one
Sometimes it's multiples of 3.
because it feels better that way. Are you gonna do the number of the day? Because that's the number. Stomp. But shark can't stomp. Okay. But yeah, so I still have a bunch of comics from my older years.
And that means comics and trade paperbacks.
Yeah, but like they're like I still
Individual
have individual
issues,
issues that I really feel like I need to let go of at some
Hey,
point
Mai.
because they're just in store. I mean, I don't really read them. I've been going digital.
Thank you, Mai. Because of you, we've hit 10. We've hit 10. We've hit 10.
Hooray!
Okay, back to the topic.
Whoa.
But yeah,
Then
Comics.
there's my Transformers.
Mhm.
Then there's the board games.
Mhm.
Then I'm a subscriber to the official Eagle Moss Star Trek Starships collection,
yes.
which also spun off to the Star Trek Discovery Starships collection. And then I now have the Star Trek Online Starships
Mhm.
collection. These are all die-cast model ships, which are
Mhm.
gathering together. And sometimes I buy multiples and I need to pass them on to friends. I tried selling some on Facebook.
Not just toys. There are sometimes multiples of books because sometimes there's an awesome book cover that came out, or there's a new edition.
I resist. Okay, do you see me with more than 3 versions of Dune? No.
3. Hey, Sharky, what's the number?
So I concede that there are challenges,
Mhm.
and then in my case, as long as we are still living comfortably in terms of being fed and meeting all our bills and stuff, then Toby turns a blind eye to my purchases.
Okay, first of all, it's not a blind eye. Because
Okay.
I literally do
Because
state
I do have to show them to you. Like, Toby, look what I added to the house.
because I literally do state that, if you can afford it and you want it, then why not? Because let's face it, for many of us, and I'll get to my list of stuff that I buy later in a bit. When we were still living at home or when we were still living in different arrangements, many of us were pretty much living in a world, and by world I mean a place you live in, where you cannot necessarily just enjoy everything you want.
That's true.
Back at home, I'm sure many of you can relate to, parents or your siblings telling you, your stuff's again in the way, nakakalat na naman lahat yan. Some would have them kept in, orderly shelves. And I use orderly because in truth, they just want it out of the way. They just want it hidden away in a box so that they're not interfering with the rest of the house's aesthetic.
Yeah, when Toby and I met, my limited Transformers
Mhm.
collection were hidden in bins literally under the bed.
And there are good reasons in keeping them in that way. They get dust. There's a less chance of getting dust.
Yes.
Less chance of losing things.
Yes.
But if you do want to celebrate your geekdom, wouldn't you at least want to have them, having the same spotlight as the plant or the painting or the new refrigerator, which, for many of us, we don't get the
I wouldn't
opportunity
mind
to
a new
celebrate
refrigerator.
things. So, as Rocky has mentioned, his list, mine includes role-playing games, which used to include hardbound books and soft cover books. Now I've started to slip more into digital because yeah,
We'll get to that strategy later.
But yeah, we'll get to that in detail later. I have a insane thing for stuffed toys. I rescue stuffed toys.
Yeah, it's true.
We would be in a toy store, and then I'd see the worst looking one, and I'd be like, Rocky, no one's gonna buy him. And Rocky's like, oh no, don't start. But look, he's so cute. And yeah, so I brought home a lot of stuffed toys that way.
Yeah, we ended up like with these dragons that like because why not? Because they're dragons, so that we should have them.
Or that weird white abominable snowman
I don't know what
inverted
that
letter U thing. That just looks so sad and lonely.
Especially like we've seen a couple of like secondhand stuffed toy displays. Those are the worst. Those are the ones Toby like
Bargain book sale.
really takes the time to look and
Yeah.
like.
Because sometimes I'd walk past and then we'll be leaving and then I'd walk back and I'd be like, still staring at me.
Mitch appreciates you being a kind soul to these stuffed toys.
And then I also had for a time this obsession with small pig figurines, and there were those
Yes.
small ceramic little statuettes which I collected during my younger years. I've kind of gotten past it now. I'm kind of over it. Only because
Why? Are you living with a pig?
no, because so many broke from moves, and it's after all the heartbreak of seeing them shattered, you're like, the hell, I don't want to keep them anymore.
It is painful.
But yeah, I actually still have a bunch of them still in boxes. What else? Board games, of course. I predominantly buy board games. Rocky will attest to how I would sometimes buy board games not because I know the game is good, but because I'm curious.
Especially if we can get it on sale in the secondary market.
And of course, I always explain, it's research for me, which is true because I do design games as a living. But those pile up.
Yeah, literally. There are stacks that are like on the floor that go high up.
I was a movie nut, so I used to have VCDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, and unlimited collections. Because sometimes when you're living in the Philippines, you can't exactly find everything you want, so you're forced to pirate them.
I feel like you're using Sharky's voice for this. I don't think he approves.
So we have burned DVDs in containers en masse in the house, which includes shows we don't have the heart yet to let go of, and a lot of other personal backups and stuff.
Yeah. So yes. So we can see that this is just illustrating the depth of the problem,
But
so to speak.
We haven't gotten to the stuff we both collect.
What else do we both collect?
So we get Adventure Time little figures and toys, Studio Ghibli figures and toys.
That's true.
Puzzle pieces and mini statues that we don't really do anything
You make
with.
it sound weird. Why would anyone get puzzle pieces? You get puzzles. You don't
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah,
get the pieces.
But we like those things.
Pico cites that his game collection is increasing because of you.
Pico? Why me and not anyway? But yeah, so yeah, we have our collective stuff we buy as well, and that includes stuff that we buy for each other because the other will not necessarily want to buy it.
I have bought strange stuffed animals for Toby. I
have-
bought this green alien thing that had a
Yes,
pop-up head.
that was
Where
cute.
both the head and the body are like separate
the
aliens.
partner one. I got Rocky a whiteboard.
Yeah. Which now mostly holds all the magnets Toby also got me.
And we always get magnets or memorabilia from the places we visit.
No, we don't. We get them more from the plays we watch.
You're right. Places we visit.
We don't
not so
exactly have travel magnets. We have
much. We do have a few.
We do have some, but they're mostly gifts.
Yeah.
More of our magnets are plays.
Yes.
Because I'm that guy. So yes, many things.
Yeah.
Kenny was joking, do we collect guys? No.
No, they seem to throw themselves at us. So we're
Apparently.
we're kind of forced.
See my curious cat. No.
Nikki asked, "Sana may show and tell of the stuffed toys suggested as a topic."
Then
maybe.
Toby will not stop sneezing. He's already bad enough.
But I will tell you, the pile will cover us both.
Yes. there's a bin that's full of them.
And
So
considering
anyway,
we've already given up so many of them.
yeah, there's just many we can't give up. I mean, like it's that like good thing that we haven't brought out that nefarious hedgehog and his evil
Oh yeah.
plans. He
Yes.
always does things. So anyway,
And then there's all my notebooks. I have so many notebooks.
that's that's a problem,
There's all these lanyards from events we've gone to.
which we are still like leaving draped around.
Yes.
Okay, so we're just further. We've spent the first 10 minutes of this episode talking about kind of how diverse the problem may be.
Yes.
My Lego, I've rescued my Lego from our family home, didn't unbox them, and then have now endorsed them to Nico
Mhm.
so that he can take charge of that aspect of my collection. And I may or may not be buying him more Lego
Which
that I would get for myself.
and that connects to the
Ooh,
latter part
is
of
that
our
a
discussion. That is part of our discussion. But before we go to solutions, let us go to the attempts.
Okay.
And the attempts are shelves, of course. Shelves are one of the first and most basic things that you will consider when you want to
Because you create
Consider
more
sorry.
vertical space
Mhm.
instead of just relying on the floor.
And admittedly, shelves also are the more acceptable option because, in as much as you might say vertical space, then why not create those shelves that are nailed on the wall or those hanging stuff? Not all places will allow you.
Well, when
drill
you're
holes.
renting, then
Mhm.
you cannot typically drill walls without permission. So
Mhm.
we can't do. I mean, there's a lot of like upper space that we've totally wondered if we could put more shelving on.
or stuffed toys. I was like thinking nets to hang the stuffed toys. But yeah, prefabricated shelving that's available in places like SM is useful for preliminary shelving solutions. They offer around 3 tiers of height.
We're talking about these weird like plastic legs with wooden
With fake wood.
wood material shaped into planks.
Mhm.
So not super awesome, not load bearing,
Yeah,
especially with books. Then you know how they all become like
sad.
sad.
You have your shelf, but a few months later, there's
We've gotten full on all wood-ish
the
big
the prefab
shelves,
shelvings.
yeah, from Blims. Like it was a 4x4
They
grid.
don't last.
They all kind of went wonk, and then one day just kind of like broke a bit.
And
So-
that's where we went to the solution, which is the industrial strength or those metal
hardware shelves.
those metal hardware shelves. I'm so tempted to swing the camera just to show it. But it's basically the shelves that people tend to sell that are meant for garages or workshops or kitchens even. They tend to not need tools save for a rubber mallet or in my case, an actual hammer
Covered with cloth.
to pad the hammering. But they don't need screwdrivers. They don't need saws or anything like
I
that.
mean, but you can get hurt, okay? Because there's a lot of things that snap into place, and if you're not
Mhm.
careful,
Yes.
it can get painful. But then that's like become our go-to, and so these are like normally Ace Hardware or
Mhm.
True Value have different variants.
They offer awesome vertical height, so they can
and
allow.
stability because
Yeah.
they are able to hold both board games and tabletop RPG books, which is like saying encyclopedias.
And admittedly, we have not had anything fall during any of the earthquakes that have
Yes,
happened.
that is the strange thing. We
Mhm.
seem a little earthquake immune, but at the same time, the current place we live in, I feel, is like a very earthquake resistant building. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's quite low. Well, not low. It's like 30 something stories, but it's quite spread out.
Or it might have to do with the secret underground base and the nearby cemetery that we don't know about.
That's Toby's speculation.
Anyway, moving forward. So there's shelves. By shelves, there was also that rare instance we were able to get these awesome, how do we call it? Freestanding shelves. No. Freestanding are the ones we have now. The free leaning.
Officially,
shelves.
they're branded as easy shelves,
Yes.
and they lean against the wall, so they feel like the bracketed ones that you would normally screw into
Mhm.
the wall. But the main base is like it's a flat plane with an angled leg.
Mhm.
So physics-wise, as you put weight on it, then it pushes it further
Yeah,
against
because
the wall.
if this were the wall, the angled leg is sort of forcing it to the lower point and not the upper part of the shelf. So all the weight is down here, pressed against the wall and the floor.
It's scary though because the weight tends to centralize in the lower shelves, so
Yeah.
the upper shelves are not quite touching the wall.
And when you touch it, it actually feels like it wobbles. But frighteningly, again,
No earthquake problems.
we have never had it fall. We've never had it shake.
But you know, we build this up. We love them, but Ace could only get them at Ace, and then Ace stopped stocking them.
Yes.
So you cannot.
So
you
this
cannot
one
get them in.
behind us is an example of one of those shelves, and if I were to push it, actually, you'd see it slightly wobble. But it's very awesomely effective.
And
we
we
have-
did, and there's no drilling of walls.
Yeah,
That was the
and-
main point.
And we were able to carry it with us when we moved from Cubao to our new location.
Yes, so that was good.
Not like the prefabbed one, which we kind of just
We just gave up on that one, and then we've purchased a lot more of the hardware
Mhm.
shelves all over the house. So that's there's that.
if you need a solution that you can actually move around every now and then that's when you have storage boxes. Storage boxes might not be the most efficient, but on a pinch, they will help. They allow you to store things better. They allow you to suddenly store things vertically. Be wary, too many storage boxes will lead to some cracking.
We have seen that, and then not ideal to stack high if you're using it to store board games, because board games are heavy. They're not so bad for my Transformers and my Eagle Moss stuff. So that's sort of what we've been supplementing our storage with. It does occupy floor space,
Yeah.
so there are very
But at least
distinct
you
lanes
can-
in the house.
You can like drag them here and there if need be.
Yeah.
Blanchi asks, how about a false ceiling that can double as storage?
Again,
If
no
we,
modifications.
If we could have a false ceiling built, we would probably own a house.
Yeah.
And that is the best storage solution.
To buy
Get a house. Because when you get a house,
Problem solved.
you can do it the way you want. You can build, built-in shelving on your walls. The bottom of the back of the staircase can turn into shelving. You can make shelving hidden behind your couch. It's up to you, and that's the joy of having your own place. But since most of us won't have that option, we have shelves, we have poly boxes and stacking boxes. What else did we have?
We tried these square stackable shelves.
Oh, the 6-second
from
shelving.
SNR. There was the 6-second shelving first, then we got something similar that was reinforced plastic from SNR. From
yes,
Landers.
Yes.
But not very good with weight. As soon as we put like some books into it, then it kind of like leaped to the side. So now they're supplementary storage. They like add additional height.
Inside already existing shelves.
Yeah. But then we don't trust them to be load bearing.
Yes.
On their own. So the only books I put there are on the bottom square.
So general tips now. Knowing you can't display everything, consider having a rotation system. That also allows you or forces you at least to now clean up every now and then, because when you rotate, you'd at least get to
My transfer
dust
are
them off
long
and
overdue for a rotation.
Um,
I need to change what's on this.
But rotation systems are good. We don't have official rotation systems, but at least when we do play board games with friends or when we do explore board games, we consider, what haven't we played in a while? That way the boxes get to breathe, you get to wipe them down. What were those things we bought?
Well, the moisture absorbing like
Yeah.
silica pads and stuff. And so we got actually big sheets meant for like draining the moisture out of linen, but then cut out the individual squares, and I've been adding those to board game boxes to help.
Yeah, I think they buy it. They normally sell it for people for laundry and for cabinets, but we found that they're useful for our own storage as well. Kenny asks, will we talk about the preferred way to organize stuff? I guess we're doing that right now. Book-wise, any recommendations on how to store or shelf books?
It really depends on your preference. I do a combination of author/series clustered by height. In that respect. And so like my Dune books are together, my Neil Gaiman are together, my Terry Pratchett are together, my Star Wars books are all together.
Hi, Jad.
So when I went into that, height is very important only because uniformity looks better on a shelf. And then it's easier if you're gonna do multiple tiers.
Do you prefer standing books or lying down books?
If I had the choice, they'd all be standing. But in terms of optimal storage, especially for pocketbooks, I will most likely lie some down to create condensed mini stacks that are supplementary. Arranging by color, you're free to do so if this helps you, but this does not help me read the books. Plus, color is just painful.
And I think arranging by color allows you to have a more aesthetically pretty display.
But it also assumes monochromatic books.
And it also assumes you don't plan to buy new books anytime soon because you like to keep that display.
Yeah.
Especially since a lot of books, even within a series, don't necessarily follow a similar color scheme.
Yes, just look at the UK editions of Discworld. Each color is super vibrant and different. And it's a pain. It's a pain. So I wouldn't recommend it. What else? And then
avoid direct sunlight. That's pretty much a universal rule.
When we try, but then I've given up. Like there are certain shelves that are more protected that have the more important books, and then the less important books are getting a lot of sun and are fading. But it's okay.
Yeah, I do the same thing for board games. Many of the board games I have accepted that they are the acceptable to turn sun bleached, so I keep them closer to the window. I do try to have
the poop game.
I do try to have scarves and other cloth curtains, so to speak, covering the shelves when they can.
Yeah, and this is our problem because we're a corner unit that's like has a lot of windows. So we have a lot of sunlight, which is great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great natural light. Bad for collectibles.
Makes you wish you had a second unit to hide everything in a dark, cool place. Yeah. Jay shares usually arrange books by genre, fiction, business, self-help, queer lit, and so forth. I guess that's interesting. I don't know if I would have done that only because when I tend to look for books, I'm not thinking of the genre. Well, at least books I own. I tend to be looking for the exact title of the book when I
You
look for
gotta
them.
note that there is a delineation between things I have arranged and things that Toby has arranged.
Yes.
So my books, I'm very thematic, and then it's really priority author, and they're together. And then Toby has what works for him.
I have a filing system in my head that works. So I tend to know where things are, and I get
tends to know.
I get very frustrated when things have moved without my knowledge. And sometimes I'm the one who moved them.
Yeah, Toby's entered that wonderful realm of where's my glasses in recent years, and it's always like put them down somewhere.
And the worst being
it's hanging.
Jed asks, Jed mentions you can rent storage offsite. We will probably reach that point when we have stuff we're willing to be away from.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I've yet to be okay to be away from things. And I know that's it's a little irrational, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not comfy yet.
Other storage content or solutions. Board games, I know some people like to have them standing. I hate having them standing because the box slowly pops open.
And the pieces get falling out.
Gravity works against you in the pieces.
There are board games like what's this? Takenoko and Lords of Waterdeep, which we have praised for the design of the insert, which has a nice place for everything, and it seems super organized, and it almost seems like it locks in place. But if you stand it on its side, no, it does not lock in place. The pieces will fall, and it makes a mess. So we do try to keep them on their sides, on their backs, whatever, flat.
In terms of dealing with supplements, I'm terrible. I combine everything in a single box if possible. I don't like things in separate boxes, only because if I'm planning to play this game, then I want the access to the expansion the moment I pull it out.
But it's okay. There are obviously people in the industry that support Toby's philosophy and are making us buy big boxes for games we like.
However, we are not fans of inserts. We have not
custom inserts.
Yeah, we have not purchased custom inserts. Not that we don't like the concept or don't appreciate the creation of them. We just rather spend money on more games.
Yeah, because a lot of the cost of the inserts are pretty high. And then the inserts work at a certain point in the game's life. But then if new expansions come out, then it's not so great.
Yeah. I think the only time I was willing to buy inserts was when a friend was doing it on the side. That was Josh. And I was willing to pay him
to
Just to
design something.
because I wanted to
Yeah.
also see what he would come up with.
Yeah, but then the terraforming big box is coming. Imperial Settlers is getting a big box. Suburbia and Tricarion have collector's eds.
Some people have started using these X-shaped rubber bands that allow you to hold the box closed. Remember,
I've
we had
seen
some of
those.
those.
We've also seen it stick to the box
Yes.
and break like
Sadly,
any rubber band.
in this country, with the heat and the humidity, the rubber eventually
Fuses. Okay, sorry. Do that again. Do that again.
no. But yeah, it eventually sticks to the box, and then when it's stuck to the box, you're like, it's painful to peel it.
Yeah,
off the
and I
box.
forgot which games like have this weird rubber line on it from stuff that's
That would be Hiroshima Hex
Oh yeah,
because it came with it.
It came with it.
See,
Okay.
I have my filing system.
Board games are a unique challenge because it's hard to sort them by any means.
Yes.
Your best bet. I mean, in truth, you will end up sorting board games by size in the same way that you sort Tetris by size.
Because you want to maximize the space on your shelves when you put stuff together, which is so frustrating when certain games have a big box and then all the expansions are different sized boxes. Why do you do this to us?
I let Toby generally handle our board game collection. So he has a decent grasp of where everything is. I try not to focus too much on where everything is because it will bother me. Because there is no rhyme or reason apart from it fit at the time that Toby put it in the shelf. Things have moved around, especially when new purchases happen or mid-game night. Because after the game, he'll put it where he gets the new game, and then it's like okay. So and it's okay. It's like it's a well-loved collection. It gets a decent amount of rotation. But yes, I kind of defer to Toby to like, okay, what are we pulling out next? What do you want to play? So that I don't have to think about it. That's our relationship strategy for dealing with our shared collections. It's really like, I'll let Toby deal with
Okay,
it.
Jed asks a painful question. Have we ever lost anything?
I'm sure.
No, the answer is yes.
Yes.
And unfortunately, not dwelling too much on it. Some were cases where we trusted people too much.
Okay, yeah, that wasn't lost. That was theft.
Yeah. Other cases where we think there were people who took it.
Yeah.
But we're not
sure.
sure, so we're assuming that it was misplaced. But having gone through stuff and arranged stuff every now and then, we're kind of sure it wasn't just misplaced.
Well, that and we moved. So like we totally got to put everything in storage and then really look and like it's not here anymore. It's really gone. Okay. So
forgotten where something was placed. Yes, there of course are those times. We've even had panic moments of freaking out, not finding something, then realizing we only owned it in a digital format.
Yeah, or Toby tucked it into like a small, like it's a small game. It fit in this small space. Makes sense, you know. We just had that yesterday, looking for our copy of the base set of Combatron. And like, it was apart from the expansion for some reason. And when I found that it was in between all these bigger board games, it was just tucked in like Ravage and Soundwave or something. So
Kenny and Pico, I judge you, but I agree. That is exciting. I will not state what you just stated though. We are not done. We'll keep going. So we've talked about storage solutions. We talked about some of the strategies we do or some of the approaches we've embraced. Others, and I guess we can talk about digital.
Yeah, okay. At some point, you gotta downsize. It's like we gotta be smart and
we gotta be honest.
Yeah.
That, in as much as we can afford our hobbies and we do truly enjoy them,
but not everything is getting a lot of use.
the condo is not growing in size.
Yeah. This condo is in fact smaller than our Cubao condo, but yeah, it's okay.
We have considered checking if we can get the nearby units.
We have not seriously considered this. You like to bring this up, and then like, no, it's not gonna happen.
But that's an option.
Although the one across is like always like empty, right? So it's not a viable option. So things that we've admitted, like we were looking into, like before, like we're very diligent in maintaining a large amount of physical media, CDs,
Mm.
DVDs, Blu-rays, burned CDs of our other
Mm.
digital acquisitions. But then now it's like,
With the advent of streaming,
admittedly, it's like as much as we have a bunch of nice original DVDs and Blu-rays, how often do you pull out a DVD or a Blu-ray to watch when it's easier to just load Netflix or HBO Go Asia or Amazon Prime
Mhm.
Video? So we're trying to look at that and like how to optimize that. So I know we've like identified well, Toby tried burning all his CDs into digital,
Yeah.
and then there's a bunch of stuff that like
the music CDs.
yeah, music
So
CDs.
I made digital copies of my music CDs because a lot of them, um, God knows, I can't find online anymore. But then for movies, we are playing the game of, does this have extras we won't find?
Does this have
anywhere
features
else?
that are worth it, or
Yes.
did the plastic on this case disintegrate when we opened it?
Yes.
Because some of them are just dead, and then we've like endorsed some to friends and family
Mhm.
to right size the collection, and we've stopped acquiring new Blu-rays and stuff.
Yes.
We haven't gotten to the point of buying digital movies. I think we've just been subscribing to streaming and accepting whatever's in the library, but we haven't like bought like I don't know iTunes or Google Play
Yeah, we haven't really.
type stuff. That's not
I know I've bought some soundtracks,
yeah.
but I haven't bought any movies.
Okay.
So digital collections are also a big thing because as you get older, it's harder to read. So when it comes to reading, so in my case for role playing game books, there's PDFs. Thankfully, the PDFs of role playing games are starting to now. I forgot the term, but you're basically able to adjust the settings with the font size and this and that.
Yeah,
So
bit more dynamic.
it's
It's very
starting to
digital
lead
first. Yeah.
towards that, which already exists for many books because of Kindle.
Yes. And e-readers in general. And then I know that getting into digital books means you are gambling with the wonderful world of digital rights management, which means you don't really own your books.
Mhm.
You just own access to these titles. And that at any point, the rights holder, Amazon,
Can pull it, can
Comixology,
withdraw
or
it.
whatever, can withdraw it and delete it from your stuff. So there have been book lawsuits that have caused books to disappear from Kindles.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. It's like ultimately, it's appreciating these things for the media that you consume and not getting too attached to the ownership aspect of it. So my book collection is still more focused on books that I really want to own copies of, and not just books that I enjoyed reading.
Mhm.
Like I super love the Dresden Files. I ironically have never owned the physical copies. I may change that someday. And then I still have to work on like further downsizing my physical books because there are some that are like they were nice at the time. I just gotta move on. I have digital copies already, so I will consider that.
Part of what we're also doing is now considering honestly whom we can give some of the stuff to. For example, I have some movies which I still love, but I am willing to let go of. But I feel they are movies I would like certain people to have because I would love to have them watch it. There is that worry that they might find it odd you're giving them a DVD because how am I supposed to watch this?
At least it's not a VCD.
But yeah, VCDs have already gotten rid of a few years back. But that's the challenge sometimes. I know I am considering sometimes of letting go of actual hardcover role-playing game books as well, just to generate more space and get other people to try the games.
Jed asking, have you considered an emergency plan like for earthquakes or for fire or something? Ultimately, it's they're just stuff.
Yes.
They're just stuff.
Yes.
I mean, like I'll feel bad about it, but then there are still more important things that need saving.
Yeah, there was a time that we sort of had a ready, grab this if an earthquake happens, and that this was birth certificates,
documents,
passports, and the like.
Financial stuff. But that was it. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, as much as we love our collection, I'm not gonna kill myself over it.
Pico mentions this sounded Marie Kondo. No, I'm sorry. Everything here brings joy.
It's a lot of joy that's
We're just realistic that they also have mass and occupy space.
more like volume. Okay,
So
that's the problem.
it's not about throwing away and thanking stuff that no longer bring joy. It's about we need space for more things that bring joy.
So we're just cycling. We're just cycling. And I don't. And admittedly, a storage unit may be a solution, but then that feels like a hoarder solution. And I don't think we're gonna go there. We're gonna let that go.
Mhm.
So I think it's smarter to right size the collection rather than adding on a storage problem, because then you're not really addressing
Mhm.
the core behavior, which may lead to you becoming a hoarder.
And I think it also boils down to how Rocky and I ultimately are not collectors.
That's true, though.
We buy stuff, we have our collections, but we use our collections. You know, Rocky opens the toys he gets. Rocky
I do not
transforms.
keep anything mint in
We
box.
are not the type of people who will buy an extra one to sell it later. We know there are people who do that, and
That's fine. That's
props
your
to
thing.
you for doing that if you like that, but that's not us. And to choose to give away stuff later on, sorta is still, because we know the person who will receive it
We'll appreciate
will
it.
use it, will appreciate it, they'll enjoy it. I mean, I'd rather give it away to people who've never, for example, read a comic and then this is now free comics for them, than to give it to someone who, hi, this is expensive, and then they'll keep it in some box somewhere. And I think that's ultimately what it's about, which is why we're not even thinking about garage sales or this and that.
Yeah, it's really just endorsing and like passing it on. So yeah, so people are like, so again, Nikki agrees he is not a mint and box person. If you get a bigger condo, you just fit it up. Yes, totally gonna happen.
And yes, we
There
will
is
fill it up.
there's never enough space. It's like more space just means more things. So
And we
that's okay.
definitely will fill it up. If we ever find ourselves buying a house, a building, a country, we're definitely gonna fill it up with the stuff that we love.
Yeah.
That's not a question.
Jed was asking if you could grab and save one thing, which would it be? Like a collectible thing, because I'd be very stupid and like I grab. I don't know, like if it's what non-essential thing will I grab? See, I don't know.
Me, I think my quick answer to that is depending on two things. Of course, we're not counting Rocky because I'm assuming Rocky.
I am not a thing.
Is safe, and I do not have to save him.
We are not things.
But the first option would be the documents, only because I do not want to go through the hell of surviving something terrible and then not having the documentation.
Yeah, our passports have
that's-
expired.
Yeah, but but stuff like that. Like if we still have our little space where all the passports and birth certificates
And financial records
and
are.
stuff are there. And if God forbid a tragedy and a disaster happens, I'd love to have that just so that we still have that, and that spares us a lot of grief.
Mm.
But if that's not the issue, then I will grab my secret stash. That way, when we survive the disaster, we are funded enough to start over. And it's not that money is more important than everything else. It's just that everything else can be replaced. And what's more important is that after the disaster, we are okay and the money will help.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like
So that's
my
that's
life
my
is mostly
perspective.
digital, so
Mhm.
like I mean, like at first, like, do I say my Kindle? But then no, as long as I have a digital device, I can read all my books. And then would it be I mean, like me for sheer sentiment, maybe Wheelie, my old
Okay,
Transformers.
that's a good way. No, sentimentally, you would choose Willy.
Yes.
I think sentimentally for me, I would choose my photos bin, as odd as it sounds.
Oh, but that's like not practical to lug around.
yeah,
But it's a big bin.
yeah, but it's like it's got stuff that I kind of hold on to what shaped me.
But that's why we should digitize our physical photo collection,
I've been working on
which is
that.
Toby has been doing. So also because physical photos die,
Mhm.
and especially in the heat of this country.
Now, if we were to be very specific, though, just to use the question in a more interesting sense, if you had to save one book, not that not that anything else mattered, but if there was only one book that would be spared from some disaster, what do you wish that book was? Is there a book that's super sentimental and you wish that was the one that was spared?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, I love my books. I love my story, but then I don't think I love them enough to like. Am I going to take time to check the shelf in the middle of a fire and like I
No,
must save?
more on. We're out. The fire's gone, and then when we step in, miracle, one book survived. What do you wish it was?
I don't know. No, I'm not
Mhm.
as avid as I am a reader. I am not attached to the books themselves.
Okay.
I'm I've already read the stories. The stories are here and here. So then I'm good. Then I will always have those stories with me because I've been through that. I've been through that. Like I
Mhm.
visited when I was away when I moved out of home and I finally visited after a long time. Termites had consumed a lot of my books
Mhm.
and some of my comics. Um, and that was painful. But then it was just like let it go. It's okay.
Mhm.
You know, they're just things. You read the stories, you enjoyed them, so they're not a loss.
Mhm.
And now I get to buy them again, you know, and get that experience again.
Yeah, I guess I can relate to some extent in the sense that when I moved out, a lot of the personal effects that were left with my parents, I kind of just lost them because they kind of stored it, but then there were places that got rained in and they were damaged.
Some were sold off or whatever.
So by the time
or
I
given
came
away.
back, um, they were gone basically.
Yeah.
And I have no ill feelings about that or anything, but there was that feeling of, wow, I lost a lot of the stuff I really cared for. And then you start to, after coming through that, realize, okay, there's stuff.
There is that. So maybe that's a unique perspective we have. Like so, and that's what preventing us from becoming full-on hoarders.
Yeah.
Is that we're not super attached to the things themselves in themselves.
We enjoy what they bring.
I mean, I am someone who left home with very little with me, so I did focus on like what books or what few things I wanted to bring with me at the time, and then that was it. And then um, I'm no stranger to like scaling back and then building up and scaling back and building up. So it's okay. It's cool. So I don't know if that helps, if it's a mindset that can help.
Oh, wait. Nikki offers a good question, a good answer. Laptop. Yeah, I'd probably grab
It's
my
such a
laptop.
practical answer, though.
For me, only because I don't want to have crap from work wherein I lost files or something like that. I mean, I know the files are mostly in the cloud, but you know how
I'm super cloud based, so I don't know this because I've dealt with the pain of moving from computer to computer to computer. So I don't really deal with local storage as much. And then all my my personal media like photos are all backed up. So I mean, I get it. It's a consideration, but I think as long as I have my phone, I'll survive. I can work on my phone. It'll be a painful experience, but I can work on my phone. Yeah. Jay agrees. I much love them. We lost a lot of books from lending and stuff. Was able to get new copies in the man eventually. Oh, this is why I don't lend books. The few times I lend out books, disappointment comes my way. So I don't lend books.
I lend games. I'm also very particular when I want them back because I'm quite, yeah, you feel free to use it, and then when I need it back, I want it back. So that, however, has been toning down only because sometimes it's just hard to get things back, and it's no one's fault. It's just that
the whiteboard still has names of things that have been lent out since the Cubao years, and they haven't come back.
But that's life.
That is life. And so I'm like I'm now like I'm a super big fan of cloud. I'm a super big fan of digital stuff, and like it just makes sense, guys. So the physical space, the limited physical space that we have, we reserve it for things that must be physical. Hence, tabletop games are still like everywhere.
Yeah, and we even tried to what's the word? We have a pirate game, so we won't get any more pirate games. We
try to be a bit more thematic.
This is our deep Euro game, so we won't get another deep Euro game.
That's a lie.
But we did try something like that at the start.
Like we already have a worker placement game. We already have a deck building game.
It didn't last, especially when when this guy started to have it's a new Ryan Laukat game.
I don't know why we have Lauka.
Or suddenly, whoa, why did you get that? It's Portal Games. So we bought it.
I feel like things got worse when Toby started subscribing to all the secondhand board game groups on Facebook. Before,
Because no
he
one
was starting to feel guilty about like spending so much on games, like when we travel at Gaming Live or at games at PI in Singapore. So many games, so many games. So we have to stop buying games, and then it became we have to stop buying new games.
because no one loves the
So he keeps rescuing games. Like he rescues stuffed toys. There are really things like, what is this? It was on sale, super sale, and like it looked good to man. So
Admittedly, we have had some what's the word? Accidental surprises. Like, we bought this and then, oh, that was amazing. That wasn't so bad, Mr. Face. Or
Mr. Face was a gift. It wasn't a purchase.
sorry, but Mr. Face had that reaction. Fafnir.
Fafnir as the one that legit had the reaction because you bought it. But
The
it was a point
Awakening.
game.
Escape Tales.
Okay, that
See?
was not so bad. But there are things like that Cthulhu Madness game, which is like
Oh, yeah,
cute
yeah.
art, but then okay gameplay.
Pocket Madness. I
Pocket
think.
Madness, yeah.
Which was normally around 2,000. I was able to
justify
get for 700.
Uh-huh. Toby has a messianic complex on objects. Yes.
Well, not just objects. You should ask Rocky about the plants someday, or the lizard story.
Yeah. Okay. So, Pico says part of his value system is not borrowing stuff, and it's a real emergency. If I really want the thing, I'll prefer buying it for my own as much as possible. And that's and there's nothing wrong. Like I think there are good people who are good borrowers who return stuff quickly. Or actually, Kindle allows you to lend some books,
that was
not all
interesting.
books.
You can digitally lend something
Yeah,
for a temporary period.
it's on loan for a month and then it comes back automatically at the end of the month. I haven't really found people to Kindle lend books to, and then it's always annoying to double check whether or not you can lend the book because it's better to do it on the website than with your Kindle.
Notice we have not mentioned audiobooks.
I can send a free sample to people. They take up no space. They're just there. I get a new credit every 2 months.
And there are sites where you could join for membership and you'll have enough free to download like a book or two, and that's enough for your journey or your trip, because that's what I did when I went out of town for a trip. And you can discontinue afterwards. Jay adds, scavenging can be fun. I'd also do it occasionally, mostly buy secondhand video games unless they're favorites.
Toby is the scavenger.
Well,
Toby is the savior.
I think admittedly I like scavenge hunting. Because I do that for clothes. I remember when we used to go to the States, my sister and my brother would love, branded stuff. They had the brands they liked. And I would be the guy who with $100 would vanish from the mall because I'd go to all these thrift stores and I'd come back with 2 pairs of jeans,
Ross dress for less,
4 pairs of socks, 2 shirts, and 3 scarves, all for $100. And that was me shopping in the States. And I remember my uncles would always be like, "Saan ka na naman galing?" And I'm like holding all these stuff. And it reached a point they would follow me around when we go to malls just to see where I shop. Because I'd find those places, or I'd insist they go to Camarillo and the like, where it would be the oil. I forgot the term. It's not secondhand.
Factory
Overruns
overruns
and the like. Yeah.
Export overruns, that type of thing.
But that was me. So I guess it just translated to now games and stuffed toys. And
I appreciate that Toby hasn't been aggressively buying stuffed toys in recent years. So I mean, it's
yeah, I think
that hit an end.
Yeah, I think I've started
because we left Cubao.
No, I think it's because I don't see the need to display more than what we have out now.
No, because the problem with Cubao was that there was that walkway at Shopwise that had the bargain books thing, and we'd always walk by it. And then Toby would be like, "Oh, look at it!" And then I'm always like, "No, don't get more."
Partly true, only because we do go to SM Aura, And while you're looking at the Transformers, I'm staring at the stuff
But they're brand
toys.
new, so you're not as drawn
But
because they're
some
new.
of them
It's
are
the second hand they
but
really
some
like.
of them are pangit and no
Instead,
one will love them.
instead he gets this. That we have a shark puppet.
And mind you, Shark almost had friends. I've stopped myself a few times from buying friends.
Because there's like a hammerhead, right?
And the eagle and the T Rex and the pig. There was a pig too. But yeah. So yeah, I guess I've been toning down because I kind of realized that I'm fine. I've started to lean more now towards the board games as my main thing. Even movies, I don't really buy movies.
Yeah, we
anymore.
stopped buying movies. We stopped buying new games for the PlayStation,
Mhm.
also because we're still on a PS3. So that's like really like
Yeah.
that hits a dead end. We've just moved past that.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's just focus. It's just focus.
Mhm.
And then like me, my physical books are things that are typically ideal as non-digital experiences. So they tend to be art books. They tend to be big trade paperback comics of stories that are particularly important and things like that.
And I guess the last thing to add, at least I think to start to wrap up, is that we have the advantage of not having kids.
Yeah, we are the kids.
And we don't necessarily, well,
Alright.
we're not allowed right now to have
We're
pets.
not the kids. Toby is the kid.
Um,
I say this with the toy collection.
well, I do like playing with toys. So, as I was saying, we don't necessarily have kids in the house. So we don't really have to worry about having our stuff around.
Yeah, and we don't typically entertain children.
And
You have been warned.
a lot of friends we know do try to have their own collections as well, but it's always a problem of kids are rougher.
It's a two-pronged thing. The challenge of kids messing up your stuff and the cost of maintaining children.
Yeah.
Well, raising, sorry,
So-
not maintaining.
so we definitely understand that not everyone can have that much stuff in their background, and that's fine. I think ultimately, yes, choking hazards is definitely another point of consideration.
David puts a dual income, no kids purchasing power is amazing.
Yes.
Yes, especially for two geeks.
So, I guess ultimately find a way to still celebrate your geek stuff. Find storage solutions that work with your current setup. Maybe it means having those boxes and having the boxes and the shelves that are out of the way, or maybe just having some, part of your shelf space where the books are and the toys are on top of the books or around the books. I'm sure there are ways that you could still, celebrate your geek flag.
Mm-hmm. Without making your children feel denied.
Mhm.
They, don't do that. That just sucks.
Yeah, and I guess my closing is, let's also try to stop perpetuating the joke of having to lie to celebrate your geekdom to your partner, to your significant other. It seems to be a very common thread with
Yeah,
people.
any collectors.
And while it might seem funny, or maybe there is some grain of
It's not
truth to it,
funny.
there is still bottom line. You're basically showing that someone is not celebrating what you like. You're also basically telling
That you're
people
lying
that-
in your relationship
Yeah.
about something that is clearly important to you.
And lastly, you are not letting the other person have the opportunity to, see if they'll enjoy your stuff as well. So it's not a fun joke to see. And
It's not a fun behavior to perpetuate.
and it always makes me feel like maybe people think it's funny just because people keep saying it. But
Or
they don't
Keep
realize
doing it.
and they don't realize that if the other actually was aware this was a running joke, they'd actually be very insulted.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, there are ways to celebrate your geekdom responsibly. That, again, our collection is at this point because we have no other obligations. We don't have a pet anymore. We don't have children. So our funds are our own, and then it kind of goes in that way. But we still save for the future. We still make sure our health is covered. We make sure our bills are paid. Same thing. If you had more responsibilities and then you also want to explore, you want to celebrate your geekdom, you just have to be more frugal and make smart decisions about what you get and have a plan for where you're gonna put them
Yeah. I think
safely.
I think it's just that
But not. I don't see the need for secrecy.
yeah, and I think if the narrative you want to show is you have to slip stuff past your significant other, then that kind of gives a very different picture than saying, oh, this month I was, I'm celebrating because I'm allowed to get this toy, and my thinks it's actually pretty interesting, although hindi niya masyado gets, and that's fine. At least you're honest,
And that they're aware.
and there's communication.
Yeah.
Because then your kids will start thinking, oh, so I have to hide it if I want this and that. Oh, I'll find a partner and they won't get it. And it has that effect.
Yeah, and this inevitably comes up whenever we talk about geekery and storage. And if you join any collection group on Facebook, then you're always going to see those posts about, I had to take it out of the packaging at work
I had to change the price.
Yeah, or I hide all my stuff in this shelf so that it's out of view.
Pakisulat, congratulations, para hindi halatang I bought it.
Yeah, so it's just very uncomfortable. And Toby and I are at a point where, because I have imposed financial tracking software on us, all of our purchases are super transparent now. I know Toby just got a board game.
And
I didn't look what it was, but I saw the budget move. Like, someone
and
bought a board game.
That budget thing, it wasn't like a forced thing or anything. It was really more, okay, so we have this service, we might as well use it.
I'm paying for it.
And it's interesting because it gives you a perspective of where your money flows.
Yeah, and it's helped me address my credit card debt, and my purchases are manageable, and I know when Toby's buying a board game.
Or donating.
That too. But then really, I have yet to ask you what the board game is. I know it's going to show up sometime, but there was a ding charge that happened again this month. And the same thing I have a whole budget section called Rocky's Indulgences. It's Transformers, it's comics, it's books. It's
now
my
I'm
Eagle Moss.
now I'm
It's my
wondering
shipping.
Now I'm wondering what that purchase was.
I don't know with you. You tracked it this week.
Unless
on
it's
Why
the one
Now.
that already arrived.
I don't know. What was the last one you got?
The Grizzled expansion.
No,
With the
unless you logged it late. Did you
Probably.
log it late?
Yeah, I logged it.
Okay.
I'm always late.
I'm on high alert. Our anniversary is next week.
We made a deal that there were no more gifts.
We have a deal. We are terrible with that deal every time.
In fact, our deal was no more until Christmas.
Yeah. Does that stop you?
Of course.
You're gonna be like, nah, this isn't for Christmas. It's for next year.
Yeah, I mean,
Because prepaid gifts.
or lechon.
That's not a gift.
I got 2 kilos worth.
That's charity. That's
Okay, so
someone asked us to buy the
Jed also mentioned, do not get a cat. I'm sorry.
Pets are perpetual infants.
I have no advice on how to control your cat. I do know dogs can be trained because Yoshi never destroyed a toy.
Yeah, that's true. Or books or stuff.
We never had. The only time he nearly destroyed something was when he was unpacking the side of the couch, and to train him, I scolded and spanked the couch.
Yoshi is best.
And I told Yoshi, "Bad couch, bad." And then look at Yoshi. UK, love you. Yoshi never touched the couch.
Sorry, sudden realization. I have a new callus here. I've been like scratching it. Where is?
Let's not share that in public.
It's
Okay. So yeah, I guess we'll wrap up. Do you have any last things you want to share? Because I kind of shared my last things.
Yeah. So it's just it's geek responsibly. Ideally, it would be nice to figure out storage, but then as long as we bring up the whole disclosure thing, because what's this? If you are open about your geekery and you're collecting, then you and your partner, significant other, or whatever, can figure out the storage together.
Yes.
And I think it's just a question of as long as you can neatly tuck it away somewhere, I think, and still have easy access to it and know where it is, then it's still fine, right? Then you still achieve what you want to do.
Because ultimately, geek stuff is like shoes. You'll always find another one you like to buy. That's reason enough.
Toby likes to compare everything to shoes when
Because-
it comes to
Because
collecting.
it's the universal thing that we understand people will want to buy.
Owning dice is like buying shoes.
You'll have dice for horror games, dice for first games, dice for with friends.
I'm trying to imagine the shoes for this.
Okay, we're having a second level quack. That means we've spent twice the 30 minutes. We spent an hour talking about geek storage solutions, storage problems. And we have
No, I think
Hmm?
I think we covered like most of the comments. So
yeah, so we can close up.
Yep.
That was definitely 1 hour. That was fun. We had so much fun, and we hope you will join us again next time.
if you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. Reminder that we are accepting questions for Precious Paul and Nicole on for Friday's show. But for Saturday's pre-anniversary show, please direct your questions to our anak Nico Delanela, and he will try to figure out what to do with them. Help him. He's he really wants Saturday to go well, but I know it will. It will. You can follow us on Twitter, Altobino Shade, and I'm RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog. That's baduypride.com for all the previous episodes.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments. So, how are you storing your geek things? What are the gems you have found? And what other shelving units did not work for you?
In the shark.
Let us know in the comments. And then feel free to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Oh, and reminder, no episode tomorrow.
Yes.
We're going to be pretending to be vampires again. Okay. So once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Thanks, everyone.